What's going on, everybody? Double Check Effect Sports Code coming at you with another video. Shout out to all who have liked and subscribed to the channel thus far. As I said, it's been about a week since we stated that we were going to do a college football playoff breakdown video for you guys. So, got a video for you. I hope you find it informative. Again, it was kind of put together here. Again, sorry I haven't been doing as many videos lately with traveling, but now that we've got a new computer settling in, we're ready to do some breakdowns. So today, wanted to talk about the upcoming college football playoff championship, right? So 12-team playoff. This will be the first inaugural 12-team playoff. A lot of the years past have been 4 teams. A lot of controversy as to who should, make it through. Now we have the 11th college football playoff national championship. And I have 3 teams that I really like, and I'm going to focus primarily on today as we go throughout this demonstration. And wanted to highlight the bracket real quick. I think the bracket has a lot to do with, again, the logo has the moon type feel for it. It has the shape, right? So it's hard to believe, that it will not be a few teams that I really like. So let's go ahead and dive in on this side of the bracket. I'm going to do a bracket breakdown first, and then I'm going to do a deep dive into the top 3 teams that I like for this upcoming presentation. So first game, it has Tennessee versus Ohio State. Ohio State had a loss to Michigan, right? I think, it's fair to say, are they going to do another Ohio State-Oregon matchup in the Rose Bowl? It's highly likely. I mean, they are heavy favorites. But I wouldn't be too surprised if Tennessee covered the game and Ohio State won. So I'm going to go ahead and go Ohio State with Tennessee to cover this game. And don't want to spend too much time on this. I just wanted to go over it with you guys just to see what you think. Now, Clemson made it in, beating SMU in a very dramatic fashion, the ACC championship game. The Longhorns lost to Georgia in dramatic fashion. And no one's giving Big 12 championship Arizona State much love. So this leads me to believe, I feel like for it to be interesting, Texas needs to win this game. I could be wrong, but, I think, now it's the new Big 12 versus the old Big 12 team. And Texas, has to flex on Arizona State. I don't know. Again, the Cowboys won their last Super Bowl in Arizona. Again, this will be taking place on a neutral site, I believe. I'm not sure where, but all I know is this game will be taking place at the Cotton Bowl. So it's hard to believe that Texas won't make it to at least this point as we go through. Now, moving over here, Indiana, there's a lot of, Hoosiers and Fighting Irish fans out there, So they were really excited about this matchup. I wanted to go over this real quick. I believe Notre Dame's going to stomp on them. I've been saying that, from the beginning. I think IU has had a great run, but their time is up. And I think, with the building of the cathedral, reopening of the cathedral, we're going to get to that in our slideshow here. I like Notre Dame to win this matchup pretty heavily because them playing Georgia makes a lot more sense. The Masonry and the Catholic here, connection with the G Catholics and the Builders. It's hard to believe it won't happen. Now, this one right here is the only upset alert game that I really have on my radar due to the nature of Ford. The Broncos are already in Fiesta Bowl. They're already there. No credibility ever as well. They're kind of, they haven't lost. They have a really great running back. Hasn't lost really. They're not getting much love. And they're the Broncos. So you got the Broncos and then the SMU from Dallas. They have the Mustangs, right? So could it be a Ford tribute for the Ford Bronco and the Ford Mustang? And the Nittany Lions here are an interesting case too. I think, again, this could be an upset. However, it's hard to not see Penn State going through due to the nature of the game we're going to talk about. So I'm just going to leave it at that for our first pick. And then we're going to go into our visual presentation here. So here are my 3 favorites. Obviously, I like Oregon the most. We're going to dive into why they are taking up primarily the half of this picture. And then as potential opponents for Oregon. I like Notre Dame more. I like the Notre Dame more a little bit for that. And then Penn State is a wild card just because of some things that I noticed. And I don't want to take too much time with Penn State. I think they have some good riddles. However, I just don't think they're enough. I mean, they just played. These two teams just played. So was it a good game? Yeah, it was a nice high scoring game. But like, does everybody really want to see that rematch? Fits to be seen. And but wanted to talk a little bit about the first game here featuring SMU and Penn State. Sorry if it's a little choppy here, but again, Joe Paterno, their famous coach, he won national championships for them in 1982 and 1986. Now, of course, Joe Paterno, he died January 22nd, 2012, right? So that season is the season that Notre Dame ended up making a run anyway. Okay. So what I wanted to point out here is that this upcoming game between SMU and Penn State will be played in Happy Valley, and it is on Joe Paterno's birthday. He'll be 98 years old, or he would be if he was still alive that day. So I think that was an interesting tribute here. They're going to be playing Joe Paterno on his birthday, and is he really going to lose to SMU? Like, fits to be seen. I have a hard time believing that. So here's my case. It's not that strong for Penn State. They're they're the third best choice for my opinion. Again, with the state, Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania, again, a lot in the news, the swing state, there's been a lot of things. So Penn State needs 4 wins, can finish with a record of 15-2 to tribute Pennsylvania, just right off the bat right there. So now, highly unlikely. Could they make a run? I think to the Final Four. Yeah, I think they were. A lot of the viewers and commentators are discussing how Penn State has an easy road. Oregon's got the tough road, even though they won the Big Ten championship game. So that's, again, I don't want to talk too much about that, but I will talk about Pennsylvania and why they could be connected to a potential game here. So we all know this image here, right? This took place, obviously, Trump, was the assassination attempt there that took place. Let's see if I can put this here. Oh yeah, look at that. Wow, that was a little better. So now, again, Trump assassination attempt took place in Butler, Pennsylvania, famously yelling out that phrase, fight, fight, fight. And of course, he's making that fist. That stood out to me a little bit. The snake ear coming up. He's got the snake on his, blood smear on his face. Again, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish went to the national championship game, lost to Alabama in a snake ear as well. All right. So, and then this meme you may have seen with Donald Duck and Donald Trump. It's just the opposite flipped. If you turn Donald Duck's, image upside down, you get Donald. Right. So we're going to talk about Donald ducked, right? The phrase Donald ducked, because of course he ducked out of the way of the bullet, right, in Pennsylvania. So, and then after that, he, again, Trump shot Butler, Pennsylvania. Donald ducked from the bullet and shortly after yelled the phrase fight, fight, fight. Now, of course, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, have, again, their name in the word fight, right? So I like one of these 3 teams. I think there's a lot of imagery with this, and we're going to talk a little bit about how this day and the game could correlate to each other. Again, just remember the phrase Donald ducked, again, the meme with Donald and Donald, right? The twin. Again, as above, so below, twin, right? And again, remember, it's the 11th edition of this game, right? The 11th edition. We talk about Janus a lot. So just bear with me as we go throughout this presentation. Again, this is my first time using this presentation, so bear with me. I feel like it's going to be a little easier for you guys to follow along. I feel like I was in the past just not finding material, and it was just confusing. And, I feel like this is going to be a little easier moving forward. So here we go. Butler, Pennsylvania, 7-13. Again, the phrase Society of Jesus, again, Notre Dame, known for Touchdown Jesus, Society of Jesus, again, the Jesuit slogan, Society of Jesus, the Jesuit, 191. Now, from the day of the assassination attempt to the upcoming day of the game, which also is the day of the, inauguration. right? So 191, Society of Jesus, and 191 days later will be the day of this game. So I thought that was very interesting here. Again, little big font here, but the presidential inauguration takes place the same day as the football game, Monday, right? So it will take place during the day. He will be inaugurated, and then the champion will be crowned later that night. So something to think about, just because how perfect is that? Using that imagery there. Um, Again, inauguration day is takes place on the 20th day of the year, but it leaves 345 days remaining in the year, right? So it remains 345 days remaining. Takes place on January 20th, with 345 days left in the year. Okay, and the phrase in Latin Jewish gematria, the phrase Donald ducked, right? So I think it's very poetic, right? He ducked out of the way of the bullet. Um, it equals 345, right? Had he not, right, whatever this event, whatever you want to think of it, right? It's a little goofy, but anyway, again, the phrase Donald ducked, he ducked out of the way. I think it's the major theme. He ducked out of the way of Pennsylvania, right? He survives, just like the Oregon Ducks, I believe, will survive their undefeated, season from this. And in order to make it interesting, I feel like Oregon has to go on, and their opponent, I believe, will be either Penn State or Notre Dame. It just has to. I just think for this first, inaugural 12-team playoff, I feel like it has to go. And again, it's the 11th edition. Again, Janus 11, tribute to Trump and Duck twins, right? He's the twin. Donald Duck is the twin to Donald Trump, right? And let's talk about the O. The letter O in Fibonacci is 144, right? And then 12 times 12, of course, is 144, just like the Oregon Ducks, right? So again, I think it's the 15th letter, but also, again, notice it's the 144th number of Fibonacci. Very important, I think, to this 12-team bracket. And again, think about Notre Dame as well. If you think of N, that equals the 14th letter. And then, of course, D is the fourth letter. So you add that up, it's 144. So that's why I like Notre Dame. To move on, they're a great consolation team. Again, they lost one bad game. That was the only reason why they're ranked 7th. Again, it was two, and we'll explain a little deeper in detail why that game was important to this riddle. Okay. Now, let's talk about Rudy, right? Rudy, for this potential matchup and why it makes sense for this game to happen. Now, Rudy was, of course, the walk-on from Notre Dame. He was the walk-on player from Notre Dame. He was kind of a nobody. He played like 3 plays, but his dream was to play for the Fighting Irish, right? And again, I think this movie ties into this. Again, remember, Oregon scored 45 points against Penn State in the Big Ten championship game. And we're going to talk a little bit about how Rudy could have some interesting pieces to this riddle. And just looking at this matchup right here, as you see it before you, it looks the best. I mean, there are, Boise State, Arizona State, okay, like not selling. I don't know. Texas, maybe next year. Again, Arch Manning develops more. I think they could sell Texas. But just to me, looking at this, you need the first inaugural game to have some meaning. And these two teams would sell. This is a big sell. I don't see another matchup any better. I really don't. That's just my opinion. So I could be wrong, but this is just really what I like. So we talk about Daniel Eugene Rudiger, his real name. So he's born on Kobe Bryant's, obviously, birthday there. So as you can see, August 23rd. Again, Oregon is based out of Eugene, and his middle name just so happens to be Daniel Eugene Rudiger, Rudy, right? So I thought that was very interesting. This matchup features the 7th seed Irish versus the 1st seeded Ducks. Okay. Why is the 7-1 important? Well, that is the last day that, Catholic president standing, Joe Biden, will be president from Pennsylvania. And the 71, of course, is very important to the word Catholic, right? 71 ordinal, 7 versus 1 seed, go at it in the last day that number 46 is in office and replaced by he was 45, right? Does that mean Irish win? I don't know. It could be a trap there. 45 was the winner. And then again, the full circle moment where he becomes 47. So, of course, Catholic 71, 46 president, Joe Biden gets replaced that day of the inauguration. And I wanted to talk about this because it's hard to overlook this because, of course, the Golden Dome of Notre Dame, the main building that noticed about Notre Dame, it's the Golden Dome, right? So the imagery there, I believe, is that Trump, his head wound, right? Is the Golden Dome, right? His dome is a head, right? So it was preserved. Again, the Cathedral of Notre Dame caught fire in 2019 and reopened on December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day, 2024. Now, the phrase "the Golden Dome" equals 127, and in reverse, 224, the year in which it reopened. So, again, it'll be 44 days from that day. Of course, the kill number 44. Interesting to think, about Notre Dame here, the cathedral reopening. Trump was actually at this event reopening, so I thought that was very interesting too, as a piece about the Golden Dome. It's preserved, like Trump was preserved that day in Pennsylvania. So I think there's a lot of imagery with this connection piece as we go forward. Now, the last couple slides here, I don't want to, go too much into detail, but his full name, Daniel Eugene Rudiger, number 45. So that phrase, Daniel Eugene Rudiger, number 45, equals 224 and 1614. What's interesting about that 1614, number is that Northern Illinois gave Notre Dame their only loss by that score. And it just so happens that, if you type in his full name and you put number 45, his number, you get that in the Fibonacci sequence. So that's interesting to me, and then the 424, that's very interesting because, we're going to talk about how that was the time in which Trump touched the wall. Sorry, it says rump. So Trump touched the wall at exactly 2:24 local time. The Western Wall in Jerusalem, very important piece there. And of course, the phrase "great architect of the universe" equals 224. So I believe, all these things are connecting up and adding up to a Notre Dame versus Oregon matchup. Could Penn State win 2 games? I think so. Could they win all 4? I don't see how. I don't know. I just don't see Penn State, with their, the scandal, Joe Paterno, Jerry Sandusky in the past. Can they overcome that obstacle? It just looks like it's setting up for a nice, ride for Notre Dame. Everyone loves the Fighting Irish. And again, fight, fight, fight. Do they fight on to win? I guess it fits to be seen. But again, there are some really good connections here to why I like this matchup right here. So again, Oregon can go 16-0, completing the perfect season, and Notre Dame can drop to a record of 14-2 to, in tribute to Daniel Eugene Rudiger, number 45, and Trump also number 45, second term around. So this is the matchup I like. Again, let me know in your comments, in the comments what you like. I mean, I like Oregon. I think the odds are plus 350 for Oregon. I think Notre Dame has odds of plus like 900. And then Penn State's somewhere in the middle there. So it would be advisable to probably put most of your money on Oregon. Again, then kind of split the difference, maybe a little less on those 2 other teams just to cover, just in case. It might be a good way to go. That way, if I think they're going to at least make it to this round. I don't see how any other teams can make it. So these are just my opinions. I wanted to make this video before got to the day. So, and Notre Dame, of course, plays on the 20th coming up here. So again, I think the quarterback Leonard for the Irish is going to have a great game against IU. I think they bury IU just like Ohio State buried IU. They're going to get absolutely mollywopped, in my opinion. They may make it close at first and then just pull away. So, all right. So I like Notre Dame versus Oregon in my matchup prediction. I like Oregon to take home the title. But again, make sure you have other options just in case and double check your work. So Double Check Effect Sports Code coming at you with another video. Hope you guys enjoyed that presentation today. Let me know in the comments what you think. And I look forward, to making more videos here in the upcoming few days. I saw the Packers game as well. This is just a side note. The Packers game, it's looking good. The Packers are picking up some steam, and that riddle, I want to talk about that video too a little bit. We're gonna make a Packers video. And also in the news, I saw that to kind of follow up my last video about the possibility of Kyle Shanahan being the head coach of the Chicago Bears. So that ties into the last video we talked about with the Niners and the Bears. So interesting things. But again, Packers, Chiefs, I still like it for the Super Bowl. Again, Lions are, Motown 59, but I still like the Packers just because of the word beginning equals 159. The Falcons game, it featured the Raiders 159. The Raiders were the third opponent to lose against the Packers Super Bowl II, their third three-peat. So again, I still like the three-peat for the Chiefs. That's just a side note. We're going to make another video about that. Double Check Effect Sports Code coming at you with another video. I like the Oregon Ducks to take home the 2025 National Championship in Atlanta. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.